You know, we all like to think we can spot manipulation a mile away, right? The yelling, the big obvious lies. But what if the most effective manipulation isn't loud at all? What if it's just a whisper? Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and look at 7 of these incredibly subtle tactics. We're going to learn how to spot the whispers you might have been missing all along. And this quote, wow, it just nails it, doesn't it? The really sophisticated stuff isn't about overpowering you with force. It's about making you question yourself, your own perceptions, your memories, even your own sanity. And honestly, that's where the real power is.
So we all recognize the stuff on the left, right? The yelling, the obvious lies, that's manipulation 101. But the tactics we're diving into today, they're all on the right. They're quieter, they're sneakier, and they work by redirecting, isolating, and ultimately making you the source of your own doubt.
And that brings us to the core idea for this whole explainer. These tactics are a whisper, not a scream. If you can get your head around that, if you can start listening for the whisper, that's the key to understanding how this whole playbook works.
Okay, first up, we're going to look at tactics that are all about one thing, and one thing only, controlling the story. Because think about it, if a manipulator can control the narrative of an interaction, they can control its outcome. And that means they can control you.
The first tactic is what we're calling conversational ownership. This is where, instead of just refusing to answer a question, the manipulator does something much slicker. They pivot. They seamlessly redirect the entire conversation onto your flaws. All of a sudden, you're the one on trial. Just look at how fast that happens. The conversation completely shifts. It's no longer about their actions, about them not showing up. Suddenly, it's about your character, your supposed negativity. You're immediately on the defensive, explaining yourself, while they've just completely sidestepped all responsibility. It's brilliant in a terrifying way. Next up is a close cousin to that last one, intentional misinterpretation. This is where someone deliberately, and I mean deliberately, twists your words into the most negative, most hurtful meaning possible. The whole goal is to keep you scrambling, always explaining what you really meant. And this is just a classic textbook example. You make a perfectly reasonable, healthy request for a bit of space, and it gets warped into this malicious act of abandonment. So now, instead of getting the space you need, you're stuck comforting them, defending your intentions. See how that works? They've completely regained control. All right, now for a tactic pulled straight out of the negotiation textbook. It's called reverse anchoring. The manipulator starts with some kind of extreme, outrageous position they know you're going to reject. Why? So that their actual goal, the thing they wanted all along, seems totally reasonable by comparison. This is exactly how the trap gets set. First, you get the ridiculous setup, the crazy request. Then, the pivot to what they actually wanted. And boom, you're caught. You walk away feeling like you kinda won, like you reached a fair compromise, but what really happened is you walked right into the outcome they had planned from the very beginning. So, we've talked about tactics that control the conversation. But what happens when the manipulation moves beyond just the story and starts targeting your own sense of reality? Well, that brings us to our second set of tactics, the ones designed to create some deep, deep self-doubt. Now, strategic vulnerability is incredibly deceptive because on the surface, it looks just like a genuine emotional connection. A manipulator will share something personal, something painful, but not to build a real bond. It's a calculated move designed to disarm you. And that's the absolute key right there. This vulnerability, it's just a tool. The second you feel that pang of empathy for them, that's when they use it. They leverage it to guilt you, to make you back down, or to make you feel responsible for their feelings. It's a strategic play for control, plain and simple. Okay, for this next tactic, I want to show you how it works instead of just telling you. I'm just going to repeat a simple phrase. Just pay attention to how it feels as you see and hear it. You're just too sensitive. You're just too sensitive. See? Even just seeing and hearing that a few times, it starts to feel a little more familiar, doesn't it? A little more real. What you just experienced there is something called the illusion of truth effect. Manipulators weaponize this. They repeat a criticism, a false narrative over and over and over. You're too sensitive. You're being paranoid. You never remember things right. At first, you fight back. But over time, that constant dripping repetition can wear you down until a part of you starts to actually believe it. Next up, we've got triangulation. This is such a powerful move. It's designed to make you feel outnumbered and to completely invalidate your point of view. The manipulator brings in an outside opinion, and this is key. It could be real, it could be exaggerated, or it could be totally made up, all to prove that they're right and you're wrong. The second you hear that, it isolates you instantly. It's no longer just your opinion against theirs. It feels like it's you against the world. And you start to second-guess yourself, right? You think, gosh, if everyone thinks so, maybe I really am the problem here.
And finally, there's the emotional timeout. Now, this is not just giving someone the silent treatment. This is a complete and total emotional withdrawal. They become a blank wall. And that calculated silence is absolutely deafening. It creates this unbearable tension that forces you to scramble to fill the void, often by apologizing for something you didn't even do, just to make it stop. They literally make you argue with yourself.
So we've looked at all these individual tactics, one by one. But now let's zoom out and look at the big picture. Because the real key here is to stop focusing on the individual moves and start recognizing the patterns of the game itself.
When you lay it all out, you can see the common threads, right? All of these tactics are just different roads to the same destinations. The end game is always to make you doubt your own reality, to isolate you from support, and to control everything, all without ever having to take a shred of responsibility. And this brings us right back to where we started. The danger isn't in the scream that you can easily identify. It's in the whisper. These tactics are so dangerous because they're designed to make you feel like you're the problem, not their behavior. But here's the powerful truth. Once you learn to hear that whisper, you can't unhear it.
Look, awareness is the first and most powerful step you can take. It doesn't mean you have to confront every manipulator out there, but it does mean you don't have to play by their rules anymore. So, the final question isn't about what they're doing, it's about what you'll do now that you can see the game so clearly.